Hey everybody, it's your favorite bastard in the kitchen. Today we are going to be making Donburi, one of my favorite dishes. Donburi is Japanese, literally translates to bowl, which is what we have right now. So the most important part of the Donburi is the starch, or in this case, the rice. So the kind of rice I prefer to use is sushi rice. Now, it's a little more expensive, but in my opinion, it's absolutely worth it. It's just going to taste better. It may not be called sushi rice. Sometimes it'll say calrose. So I went ahead and moved the rice to the bowl I'll be cooking it in. This goes to my rice cooker. Washing the rice seems unimportant. Honestly, it's pretty easy to do, and frankly, it makes the rice taste better. What you're doing is you're getting rid of a lot of the starch and dust that accumulates during the whole, creation and bagging process. So you want to use cold water or room temperature water, and look at all that crap. So what you do is, of course, you pour in the water and you pour it out. Add more water. And again, just move it around. Get in there with their hands. Again, you're rinsing that rice out. You're cleaning it up. Pour it out. Add more water. Okay, so we washed, rinsed, and repeated. And as you can see, this water is pretty darn clear now. This is kind of what you're going for. Some people say, no, you gotta wash and wash until that water is perfectly clean and clear. I don't bother with that. You kind of get diminishing returns at that point. What I then do, and not a lot of people will do this, but it's something I like to do in my kitchen. This is rice vinegar. So honestly, throw your lid on, and if you got the time to do it, just let it sit in the water for like 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, if you don't mind. That's gonna soften the rice a little bit. It's going to make it a little fluffier when it's done cooking. So again, don't have to do it. That's an optional step. Makes it taste just a little bit better. So before I move off of rice, I just wanted to cover the water to rice ratio. Some people get a little mixed up about how much water they should be adding for how much rice they're cooking. This really depends on what type of rice you're cooking and how you're cooking it. So usually when you buy rice, you're going to have directions. So for this rice, it's 1 cup of rice to 1 1/4 cup of water. Okay, so now we move on to my favorite part, meat. So we have some carne asada in front of us, or beef curtains, and we're going to be cutting them into manageable strips, something that can be eaten with easily with a fork or chopstick, so you don't have to cut it up with a knife once it's done cooking. So there is a grain to meat, kind of like grains in a wood. Follows a certain direction. We're going to be cutting against that grain so that when you chew it, it's not so fibrous and stringy and tough. It's easier to chew. It may not be coming through clear in the video, but the grain on these guys, the way I have them oriented, it's moving left to right. So we're going to be cutting this way. Having a sharp knife really helps with that. And then we just got to clean these cuts up a little bit. They don't need to be pretty. They just got to work. I think that'll be good enough because it is going to shrink when you cook it. This guy, I think he's good enough as... nah. All right, so now we have our meat. We're going to move on to our marinade or sauce. Okay, so for this, I'm actually going to marinate the meat just a little bit. Probably about 30 minutes to an hour before we cook. If you want to marinate overnight, go for it. No harm in that. So first things first, I'm going to add some toasted sesame oil. And a little bit more. Love toasted sesame oil. Makes everything taste amazing. Then we're going to add a little bit of this chili garlic sauce. This is basically sriracha, only it's the legit stuff. It's chunky. Get nice, strong chili and garlic taste in there. We're going to add some low-sodium soy sauce. Not a big fan of salty flavors. And this bottle is pretty much done, so just go ahead and empty it out. And we're going to be a little extra spicy. I've never done this before. I'm going to add just a wee bit of wine. Some marinade sauces do call for just a little bit of alcohol. I think I'm going to add just a touch more. Had this bottle laying around, so I decided, hey, why not? We're going to add some sweet soy sauce. This stuff is a little harder to find. I've only seen it at one particular store. You might have easier luck finding it online. It's basically soy sauce and molasses. It has a really nice soy sauce, sweet, sticky, tasty flavor to it. And then, just to kick up that sweet to go with our salty, we're going to add just a little bit of honey. Honey has a really nice effect on meat. It can help tenderize it. Alright, now we're going to grab a fork. Just kind of whisk it all to death. So you're probably thinking, hey, that's not a whole lot of sauce or marinade there. Well, we don't have a whole lot of meat, so I don't want to oversauce them. I don't want them completely submerged here. I just want to coat them. And that's the reason why I'm wearing gloves, is we're getting hands-on with these bastards. It's just easier. Yeah, you probably could be doing this with a spoon or a fork or whatever, but frankly, it's just easier to get that nice coating. That wine is really coming through. This is probably going to taste amazing. Okay. We're going to let this hang out as it is. Okay, so before we start cooking that meat, it's had some time to marinate, we're gonna get our little extras ready to go here. So we got some green onion and we got some garlic. So take the flat side of your knife, smash it down on the garlic. That just kind of breaks the shell so you can peel that bastard real nice and easy. There we go. So get the ugly little tip off there. And you don't have to do it exactly how I'm doing it. You probably have your own way of cutting up garlic. This is just the way I do it. Now, you're probably thinking, what is this? What do I do with it? This is green onion. It tends to be kind of underrated. I think it is great, because let me show you why. You cut off the ugly hairy bits on the end there. And some people say, oh, just use the white bits. No, just use the green bits. We're going to use all of it. So the firmer whites here, we're going to cut these and we're going to save them. We're going to fry those whole with the meat at the end because I don't want to burn them. And they basically act like any other onion. They fry really well. They hold their shape very well. They keep pretty firm. I'm just going through here trying to clean up some of the uglier ones and getting rid of some of the ugly skins as well. All right. And this is how I do it. We're actually going to be cutting diagonally. All right. We're going to be cutting diagonally. I'm going to try to demonstrate why we do that once I get some samples. All right, so this is why we get, hopefully you can focus, yes, this really nice, broad, long piece that's gonna sit in your food. It's gonna be great. So you get a lot more surface area, a lot more contact for your mouth. It's gonna taste better. So you can use, again, all of this. That's gonna be overkill for me. We're gonna throw the rest out because this thing, whole bushel, cost $1. Okay, so now we got our mise en place. You've probably heard that term before. It's a French term, gets thrown around a lot in cooking. It just means everything in its place. It's just a means of staying organized so you can be efficient and have everything on hand so you're not running around the kitchen getting things organized while things are cooking so things get overcooked or overdone and your whole meal is a disaster. All right, so we got our pan preheating. It is a non-stick. I still throw oil in there as insurance. This is canola oil. It's what I usually like to fry my food in. You can also use olive oil, vegetable oil, whatever strikes your fancy. But again, preheat your pan. Don't work with a cold pan because that sucks. One more thing, and this is a personal peeve of mine. If you're working with nonstick, use plastic, wooden, this is bamboo for instance, plastic or wooden or bamboo utensils. Don't use metal. That's going to scratch the fuck out of your Teflon and your nonstick pan is just going to be garbage. Don't fucking do it. Okay, now it's time for meat. Let's rock and roll. So as you can see, I'm moving things around just a little bit. Making sure things aren't stuck to each other, make sure things are getting their time on the heat there. As you can see, because this is carne asada, because it's really thin and we got a hot pan here, this is already nearly done cooking. So, grab our garlic and grab our onion. Bam. In hindsight, that seems like a lot of garlic, but you know what? It's just gonna be a party. It's just gonna be a beef and garlic party in my mouth. It smells amazing, by the way. So the sizzling has kind of subsided. That's actually partly to do with the pan cooling down. As you add things to a hot pan, because of diffusion, it's going to lose some of that heat. All right. It's hard to see. My oven is actually slightly sunken in the middle. Or my stovetop, excuse me, is slightly sunken in the middle, so everything kind of goes this way. It makes it draining very easy, but we're not quite done yet. Because we got our onion. Gonna give these guys a turn, but not too long. I probably should have added that just a little sooner, just to make sure they got a good scorch on them, but oh well. Every day in the kitchen's an experiment. So this is pretty much done. Yeah, definitely should have added that onion a little sooner, because I won't be able to pull it off with this unless I want to just overcook my beef. But you can get really nice scorch on the outside if you got a hot pan. So the outside's just a touch crispy and the inside's all soft and chewy. It's really great taste. Okay, we are done. Now it's time to plate. So, got my rice. It's all done, ready to roll. Got my rice scooper. So kind of like ice cream. You're trying to get some fluffy mounds here. Again, spread it around. Again, do you need to do exactly what I'm doing? Nah, you don't. But this is how I do. And you can do you. Alright. Hopefully I got most of that on camera. Alright. So we got our rice. We're now going to be scooping our beef onto it. You saw that the spoon I'm using is metal. and I just had a rant about metal utensils and your Teflon. I'm being very gentle with it, like a newborn baby. Great part is some of that sauce is coming off our beef, dripping into the rice. And that's the best. The absolute best. Beef curtains ASMR. All right. So that's done with. So now we got our sprinkles. And this is how you make it all pretty for the gram. So if you're not a fan of this stuff, add less or don't use it at all. If you're a big fan, go for it. In fact, any other vegetables you want to add to this, go for it. But here we go. Michael's beef Donburi, ready to roll. Now, I like to add a little ponzu sauce. This is soy sauce that has some vinegar and some citrus in it. It's a great addition. It's got lower sodium than your usual soy sauce, so great finisher. Thanks for watching. Go fuck.